Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, it's good morning to me right now. I'm up bright and early. To you guys, whatever time you're watching it, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching it, goodness to you. Um, we've been talking about cognitive distortions. So again, cognitive is my brain, my mind, and distortions meaning out of place. So a lot of ways that my mind, the way that I think, has things distorted in my perspective and how I'm viewing things. And all these cognitive distortions are going to affect how I feel, how I think, and like we said, how I view situations. So I'm not going to go back over the ones that we've already done, but we will get into the four today. And the first one that we're going to talk about is overgeneralization. Okay, so making broad interpretations from a single or a few events. So an example could be, I feel awkward during my job interview. I'm always so awkward. So you take a single moment or a few moments, like we're saying, and then you overgeneralize. So let's say I could be watching a video and say, I always do this thing, but it's just because I did it one time, and now I'm overgeneralizing and I'm saying because I did it once, I do it all the time, or because I do it a few times, I do it all the time. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't overgeneralize. Be intentional, and then a lot of this stuff is going to come down to self-examination. Okay, what am I doing, and what can I control? All right, next one is magical thinking. So the belief that thoughts, actions, or emotions influence unrelated situations. So here's the example first, then we'll get into it. If I hadn't hoped something bad would have happened to him, he wouldn't have gotten into an accident. So there's a lot of things that I don't want to confuse as far as faith. So when you have faith about something, that's going to be different than right here, magical thinking. Okay, magical thinking is thinking that negative things that play out in my life are because of things that I hoped for. Okay, so like I said, if I hadn't hoped something bad would happen to him, he wouldn't have gotten an accident. So let's say me and someone get in an argument, and I'm upset, right? And I'm saying to myself, let's just keep it simple. I'm upset. I don't want this person to be happy if I'm not happy. Okay, and then something terrible happens in their life. That is not because in that moment of anger, my thoughts contributing to something happening unrelated in their life. So like a lot of times it could be where, let's say I do have a negative thought, then I play on the negative thought, and that causes them to have something wrong. That's different than me just saying, I hoped for something and then something happened and it's my fault. I don't want you to think that every single thing that is happening bad to someone else or yourself is just because of how you're thinking. Okay, it's not going to be like that way all the time. So don't overgeneralize. That's number one. And number two is don't live in magical thinking. Okay, thinking that everything that you think is happening in the most negative way. Now, number three, my fault, is personalization. The belief that you are responsible for events outside of your control. So this is kind of similar to the last one, but we'll give the example. My mom is always upset. She would be fine if I did more to help her out. So it could be true where it's like, okay, my mom is upset, and if I do something better, then she will feel better. That could be true. But we shouldn't personalize every single issue that's outside of us. Because if we try to put everything on us, then we're going to blame ourselves. We're going to live negative. We're going to be negative just off the simple fact of we're personalizing everything. We're putting everything on us when it's not like that. There's so many issues going on in the world, and there's so many things that everyone has to deal with. There's no way that everything can be your fault. All right. There's no way. So even if someone is upsetting your family, it doesn't necessarily have to be your fault. All right. And last but not least is jumping to conclusions. So interpreting the meaning of a situation with little or no evidence. So there's so many ways that we jump to conclusions. A lot of times we jump to the conclusions about ourselves too, and that stops us from doing things. Like we have such a fear-based thinking that us jumping to negative conclusions stops us from taking steps towards the things that we know we need to get to. So I could know that I have a calling on my life to go and do what I'm doing right now. But if I am jumping to the conclusion of no one is going to listen, no one's going to believe in what I'm saying, then I wouldn't put out any videos or share knowledge ever. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we have to not jump to negative conclusions. Do you see what I'm saying? If I'm always going to jump to the end and have a negative outcome, there's no point of even going in. And that's what it's going to do to your body. You're going to say, you know, there's no point of even doing this if I'm going to fail. That's not the mindset you should have. You're a winner. Yeah, you are enough. You are loved enough. You are blessed enough. If you got to see today, then you have a chance to do something different than what you did before. Jump to those conclusions where I can succeed. I am abundant. Like all these different things that I can speak to myself besides speaking negatively, I can be positive. Okay. So these are the cognitive distortions. I'm praying that everybody's getting something for themselves. And at the same time, share the videos, talk to people, because we all have to work on our mind, regardless of how we feel, regardless of what religion we are or what we believe. We have to be okay within ourselves. Okay, so if you guys want to be better, just start with the mind. Start with the mind. Slowly but surely, we'll be able to come out of these negative mindsets, like we said, fear-based living, so that way we can live in love and we can be in faith. All right. But thank you guys, and I'm praying you guys got something today. See you soon.